Developing this morning, Mexican officials are reassuring visitors that it is safe to travel following the intense cartel violence over the weekend after a major cartel leader was killed. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum says there's no risk for visitors to this year's World Cup, which will be hosted in part by Mexico.
Yeah, that's still months away, but spring break is right around the corner.
And a lot of you may be worried about your upcoming travel plans to Mexico. Here in Texas, a lot of us go to Mexico for vacation quite often.
Yeah.
ABC's Matt Rivers is joining us now from Cancun with more on the security concerns and what potential travelers may need to know.
Hey, good morning, guys. The question on a lot of travelers' minds right now, no question about it, is it safe to come here to Mexico? And it's a fair question to be asking after what we saw play out earlier this week. It was on Sunday that the Mexican government captured and then ultimately ended up killing El Mencho, the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. And as a result, the cartel went off across the country, basically. All kinds of violence in multiple different places, mainly centered more on the western part of the country. But even there was some what they call narco blockades, cars being set on fire in the Cancun area. And so it's had a lot of tourists asking, is it safe to come to Mexico? And look, when I get asked that question as someone who used to live here, who used to work here consistently, I always say a couple things. On the one hand, it's right to ask the question. Cartel violence, organized crime violence is a huge deal. No question about that in this country, and it is something to pay attention to. That said, you got to follow what the statistics say. And what the statistics point to is that you are very unlikely to be the victim of a crime if you come to Mexico. Those are just the facts. Millions and millions and millions of people come here every year as tourists and leave with nothing worse than a hangover. So those are the facts, but the fears are very real, especially after what we saw play out across the country. The country has calmed down in the last couple of days. The State Department has lifted any restrictions that it had put into place about travel to Mexico. And so as you're making your own decisions whether to come here or not, I think that's the information, guys, that you need.